the meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka. Councilwoman Mazer. Councilman Garrick.
Here.
Councilman Accomando.
Here.
Council President Darminia.
Here. I'd like to rise for the salute to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence for the victims and their families in Las Vegas. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on September 29, 2017, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
Before we open the meeting to the public, we do have presentations. The first one is going to be given by Councilwoman Mazer for Italian Heritage and Culture Month. Brook, Unico.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, I am privileged to present this resolution to one of my favorite groups. It is certainly an honor. Not only are we celebrating Italian Heritage and Culture Month, we are celebrating our chapter who does amazing, amazing things for our township and statewide, actually across the country. Whereas October is recognized as Italian Heritage and Culture Month, and whereas we take this opportunity to recognize the many contributions made by Italian Americans throughout the United States, New Jersey, and especially here in Saddlebrook. And whereas, in particular, we honor the commitment of the Saddlebrook chapter of Unico National to our community by supporting programs including teaching Italian in our schools, sponsoring Saddlebrook Street Fair, food pantries, assisting local families in need, awarding scholarships, including one dedicated to a student that is a first responder, supporting causes such as Jimmy V, Cooley's Anemia, St. Jude, mental health programs, and anti-bias programs, and maintaining also our Unico Park. Whereas members of the Saddlebrook chapter of Unico have gone on to serve as Unico District Governor and Unico National President, as well as receiving numerous honors and recognition. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the Saddlebrook chapter of Unico is commended for faithfully following the Unico motto, service above self, and recognized for its service to our community as we celebrate Italian Heritage and Culture Month. Once again, we are so very proud of our chapter, and it is certainly an honor for me to be a member of such an amazing group. Thank you from each one of our council. I'm sure shares my sentiments, and of course the mayor. If anyone would like to come up and say a few words, Sue? Yes.
Thanks, Rob. You're welcome. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and council, the fire department, DPW, our police department, our first responders, for the help that they gave us for Sunday, which was our street fair, and it was an absolute success. I think everybody that attended enjoyed it, definitely. It is our practice in Unico, and it's service before self. This chapter is by far the epitome of that motto. It is a pleasure to work with this group of people. I've been in Unico for 13 years now. Actually, Flo brought me in. And it's a pleasure to actually do all the good things that we do. And I thank you so much for this honor on behalf of all of us. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you.
Would anyone from Unico would like to say a few words? No? or upcoming events? Anything you'd like us to know? Okay.
I'd like to bring everyone up to date on what is going on with the attack on Christopher Columbus. Yesterday, there was a major meeting, a press conference in New York City to fight against Mr. Mayor de Blasio's idea of taking down the Columbus statue in Columbus Circle. And the group was large. It's getting larger. The governor of the state is now with us. One of my dear friends, John Alati, was interviewed. He's a guy from Jersey by Channel 2 News, and he really brought forth what is really going on. As far as there was also a movement to stop Columbus Day as a national holiday. We're working very hard on that. We're going to get more support from more organizations. In fact, I was at a meeting last night and I said, we need to go outside of Italian Americans, people. We have to go to the Hispanic community. There's many Hispanics that revere Christopher Columbus. We have to go out to all Europeans, because this is not going to end with Italy, Italians. This is going to go on and on. They want to destroy all European history. They're called revisionists, and we have to be careful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it is Fire Prevention Week, and a resolution was prepared by Councilman Garrick. I'd like to invite the council, along with Councilman Garrick, up to give it, and the mayor, please, I'm sorry, to give the resolution for Fire Prevention Week. Andrew, can you come up? Right in front. Chief. We have the firemen come up.
Resolution Fire Prevention Week, whereas the week of October 8th to 14th, 2017 has been designated Fire Prevention Week, and whereas the theme for this year is Every Second Counts, Plan 2 Ways Out, emphasizing that occupants of homes should know at least 2 exits and plan a minimum of 2 drills a year, among other fire safety measures. And whereas it is appropriate at this time to recognize and commend the Saddlebrook Fire Prevention Office and our dedicated volunteer members of the Saddlebrook Volunteer Fire Department for their countless hours spent away from their families, answering calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as well as attending mandatory training sessions, participating in township events, and organizing the annual Santa Ride. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook, that is hereby recognized Fire Prevention Week, and with deep gratitude and pride, thank the members of the Saddlebrook Volunteer Fire Department for their dedication to our residents and businesses, and thank their families for understanding whenever the fire department is called to duty. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Want to come up front just to get a picture? Sure. They want a new truck.
That's another discussion.
Todd? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, absolutely. Unico, would you like to have your picture taken?
Just leave a space.
We have one more presentation. Tomorrow is Knockout Opiate Abuse Day. Can I call up Chief Kugler and Kathy Morrow, please?
Thank you, Madam President, Mayor White, members of the Township Council as a whole, Peter Ladico, our business administrator, all our professionals, and the residents of Saddlebrook. We had the opportunity to address the Mayor and Council meeting last month, and tonight we'll make another presentation on the same topic, and that is, like Council President Karen Dominio just mentioned, tomorrow is the New Jersey statewide Knockout Opiate Abuse Day. And basically what that is to make awareness not only throughout New Jersey, but perhaps the whole United States, because this is a problem not only here in Saddlebrook, not only here in the county of Bergen, not only in New Jersey, but across the United States. And that is the abuse of opiates. Basically the abuse of pain medicine, pain medication, including oxycodone, fentanyl, and a whole host of other pain medicines that people get hooked on. And that's where they start, and then they buy these prescription legal drugs on the black market, and because they're too expensive, they migrate and they transition to heroin. And they go a couple of towns away, city of Patterson, and they buy these packets of heroin. Just 2 days ago in this community of Saddlebrook, we made an arrest. Our undercover detectives arrested an individual from our community with 35 bags of heroin. 35 bags of heroin for personal use or for distribution to our children and to the people of Saddlebrook. Probably both. Last year, 1,901 people died in the state of New Jersey because of opiate abuse and overdoses. 1,901. It continues. It'll be more this year, and it'll be more in the years to come. We have to do whatever it takes to bring awareness to our communities, and that is why Township of Saddlebrook, along with many volunteers, including our chief advocate, Kathy Morrow, is here to talk to us and tell us about the necessity to pass the word on member by member of each community. Tomorrow we will seek a group of volunteers and we will go around and we will hang these door knockers on various streets throughout Saddlebrook. We have a whole bunch that we'd like to give out to the people that are here tonight, but perhaps when a homeowner gets home and sees this hanging on their door, they're going to take probably a couple of minutes to read it, and it's going to tell you the true reality. And that is, when this guy's got a toothache, when this little kid's got an issue, or this family member has a problem with pain, what happens? You go to your doctor, they give you a legal prescription, and you get these pills, which are necessary in many cases, if not all of them. However, after that is where the abuse comes from. Either they get hooked on them, or you got individuals improperly, unlawfully taking them out of the household, selling them on the streets, selling them throughout our community and to our children and other people. and they get hooked on it, and then they migrate and transition over to heroin. And then when they're involved with heroin, a lot of problems for not only themselves, but for their families, for their communities, and for all of us. We each suffer from this kind of problem. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Kathy Morrow, an advocate who has taken the lead, not only here in Saddlebrook, but statewide, to address this and bring the matter to Saddlebrook. Please welcome Kathy Morrow.
Thank you, everybody. And once again, thank you, Mayor White and Chief Kugler, for supporting this cause and participating in this. I'd just like to go over a few statistics. Number one, the CDC has declared prescription drug abuse a health crisis. And some statistics that you should know of: over 144 people die each day from an opioid overdose. Since 1999, the amount of opiate prescriptions written has quadrupled. 80% of heroin users started with pills. Heroin use has become more than doubled amongst 18 to 25-year-olds in the past decade. Pharmaceutical companies are largely to blame. They've contributed to this epidemic. I'm glad to say that today, New Jersey joined a lawsuit against the drug companies. They're the 10th state to do so. CDC estimates the economic burden of prescription opioid misuse alone in the U.S. is $78 billion, including cost of health care, lost productivity, addiction treatment, and criminal justice. Several years ago, I approached Chief Kugler, wanting to share my experiences and to help those in the community facing this addiction crisis. As a community, we need to recognize that addiction is a medical condition requiring immediate treatment, without any shame or without stigma associated with it. Once this happens, families can let go of their concerns about negatively being judged. It's everyone's responsibility to speak up and call out. What I want to encourage everyone to do tomorrow for this campaign is, if you can't take some door knockers, or at least take one for your house, is to go to your Facebook page and post Opiate Awareness Day, okay? Let's flood that. The only way that we can help address this situation, which is unbelievable, the goal here is preventative. We want to reach these people before they become addicted. And I want to thank you if you'd at least do that for us tomorrow. And thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Karen Dominio, and members of the Township Council, and Mayor Robert White.
Thank you, Chief. It was just brought to my attention. Tommy, would you like to come up? And someone told me that you have something you'd like to say. Would you like to come up before I open?
Thank you. I'm Tommy Hayes from Flora Lane, lifelong resident here, and I come here with no complaints. You're all doing a great job and keep Saddlebrook safe, and I'm proud to be a member of this community. I come tonight, many of you know that I've been doing a charity event called Drums from Heaven 12 years now, and we do these benefits for different types of causes to help raise money for people in need or organizations that are requesting some help. This time around, one of our residents that's sitting right here, Joanne Brindell, has had a lot of difficulty. From what I've been talking to her and hearing, since May you had a brain tumor removed and now going through radiation therapy. Joanne is not working anymore, can't work, and is in need of some help, financial help. So we do these events in April and October, and October 28th is our next Drums from Heaven event. What we do at these events is we bring in a lot of different percussion drummers and some professional dancers, and we kind of interact with the audience. The audience sits, in the outside of the circle. The drummers and dancers are on the dance floor. And we invite people to come in and try it out. There's never any pressure. You don't have to feel like you have to do this. A lot of people come in, they just want to help the cause, sit in the background and take it all in. But it's a really good feeling, as many of you know, if you're in any of these organizations, to help others. And I'm just trying to make the world a better place. I'm doing my part. So if you guys at all want to experience a different type of cultural event with drums and dancing, it's a real good feeling, and I feel good doing it. I'm not an organization. I only get the help that I need the day of the event. Everything else is planned by myself ahead of time. But Joanne could use the help. So the date is October 28th. It's at the Saddlebrook VFW Hall, and it goes from 7 p.m. until midnight. They have the bar there, and we're going to try to get some food donated, and there'll be some prizes we're getting donated for people to try to win. So if you can come out, you'd be helping a resident that gives up her time for different picnics and pictures. Joanne doesn't get paid for any of this, but she still keeps on keeping on. So I thank you for that, Joanne. So I'd just like to pass these out to anybody. Is that okay?
Sure.
I'll give you people some. If you can come support, even if you don't stay, if you come, have a bite to eat and help the cause, it would really be helpful for Joanne. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public? All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up, state your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. Emil Sudolph, Van Leeuwen Terrace, Saddlebrook. Reason I'm here tonight, I just had a question. I guess basically, if I can ask through the chair, the mayor, our professionals, with all the ugliness that's going on in this country right now, is there anything the Township of Saddlebrook that we can do to stop, to do something to stop either the sale or the purchase of that? I think it's called a bump stock that you add to your AR-15. So I'm sure some of you people here have AR-15s at home. This device, which you can purchase legally on the internet, if you attach it to these particular weapons, it allows the weapon to fire from 7 to 10 rounds a minute up to 600 rounds a minute. And they're legal. I mean, you can go on the internet and buy these things. Is there anything that the township could do to stop either the sale or the possession of these things in the township? It's the only thing it's like I said, there's just been too much of this throughout the nation. And if there's anything that we could do, would be wonderful.
Emma, we have very strong gun laws in New Jersey, and no one can purchase an assault rifle or an assault gun. I believe they're already illegal in New Jersey. I don't know exactly what you're saying, but I would believe, I wish the chief was here because he probably would know.
I wish he
but
was here.
I think it is illegal. already.
That particular attachment, you can attach onto several assault rifles, and like I said, it speeds up the amount of shots fired. Like I said, it could make a weapon fire up to 600 rounds a minute, which is insane. I don't think even the military should have something that's crazy.
Unfortunately, I believe through the internet, you cannot regulate the sale, even though it's illegal in the township or the state. It's like drugs. If somebody wants it, they're going to get it. We have, like the mayor said, we have the strictest gun laws in the country. If someone wants it and they want to take their legal gun and make it illegal.
Yeah, but I wish there was something even, at least on the books, indicating that, we're against this,
No, I agree with you 100%, but I don't think there's any legal way to.
I don't know,
stop.
if Mr. Simaluka, as far, you guys are attorneys, Mr., or township attorney, if there's anything that you could think of,
Sure.
in the future, I'm not saying right now, it's just to give it some thought. I just think that would be awesome if Saddlebrook could do something to stop this craziness, at least to put our foot down, and, because it is crazy. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Joseph Camilleri, 289 Albany Street, Saddlebrook. 3 minutes?
3 minutes,
When does the clock start?
right now.
It started, okay. All right, the first thing I got to do is clear a few issues up that were in the paper. First, I want to talk about is I didn't run on an anti-nepotism platform. This was what I ran on. I want to show it to the TV camera. I want to show it to everybody at home. There's nothing at all on here on anti-nepotism. I want to fly. Mayor Bob, I have a question for you. Does Saddlebrook have a Boys and Girls Club?
No.
Okay, thank you. See a little deception there. And lastly, my poor son. Here's a picture of my boy. I want this on television. I'm very, very proud of this young man. He serves all of us. He'd put his life on the line to protect all of us. And there was an article in the paper where his name was brought up. And I find it disgusting and stooping to a lower level to prejudice him and talk about things that are going to happen to him 3 years from now. Okay? And the other thing was, even with his hiring, he earned the position. We were all here. Did we hear Chief Kugler, or we didn't listen? He took a civil service test. And the other thing is to the attorney. What do we have on a rice rule with this? Talking about employees on the newspaper.
Sure.
Joe, just a couple, well, you should be proud of your son, obviously.
Excuse me?
You should, of course, you should be proud of your son, and we all should be proud.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you on the rice rule.
I think that what you're looking at in terms of, and I read the article in the paper, is really out of context. And my understanding is, first of all, there's no rice notice needed because
You're talking about a town employee, if I'm wrong. Town employee happens to be my son.
yeah, well, first of all, there's a rice notice is required when there's going to be some sort of action taken with regard to a negative implication on the employee, and that is the furthest thing that happens.
All right, I don't want you to go into all your stuff. Forget
Well, I
about
just
that.
wanna ask you a
I got to
question.
talk about the civil service test, okay, because my 3 minutes will be up. My son took a civil service test. I didn't take the test for him. I didn't even know he took the test. He took it and scored high enough to be accepted on the Saddlebrook Police Department. End of story. And again, Mayor, please don't stoop to such a low level, okay? I can read your quote right here in the paper.
Please do.
And in 3 years, when his son, that's this guy right here, that is my son. You want to see him? Is eligible for promotion, there will be a potential problem. That's not prejudicing him? How do you even know you're going to be here in 3 years? Thank you.
Next. Anyone else? Sure.
My name is George Lewis. I'm residing on Garden Street. The reason I'm here today is I want to bring up something that happened a couple years ago with Mr. David here. And I just want to bring it up and let everybody know that when I had a situation with my son in the school district and he was president of the board, he did nothing for me or my family or my son. My son was threatened by another student with a gun. And that gentleman hid behind Dr. Katz and did nothing for me. And for you to walk up to my family when I'm not with them at a function and take pictures with them, I find it really offensive. Because you know what? When you had to stand up, you didn't stand up for my family. So how could I even vote for you as councilman? Okay? So do me a favor when you see my family, don't approach my son, don't approach my wife, okay? Because you know what? You didn't help us. You turned your back on us, okay? You did nothing for my family. So therefore, you will never get my vote or any vote from my families or from anybody that I know. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Can I have order, please? Anyone else wish to speak?
Larry Tychek, 92 Claremont. Once again, I'll remind you, Council President, that you ran on the platform of the no time limit, and I find it very odd or whatever that you would comment in the newspaper about Mr. Camilleri going back on his word. Okay? Mr. Camilleri and I believe Mr. Accomondo, for that nepotism ordinance, were against the civil service. I was also when I came up here and spoke publicly. You know, and I know, and so does the rest of the council, why that ordinance was put in order. Okay? That order was to keep Chief Kugler's daughters out of joining the police department in Saddlebrook, for no other reason. It could easily be amended right now, okay, to exclude civil service, and we wouldn't be having the problems that we're having right now. But on a different agenda, you people had a different agenda against the Kuglers, and you socked it to them, and the town's suffering now because we have a split party. We have two guys fighting from the same party for the same seat, and there was no reason for that. So I recommend that you amend the ordinance as soon as possible to exclude civil service. Like the chief said, their father cannot help them get hired. They must pass a test, they have to go to the academy, and everything else. So I would like if the council would bring that up and try to amend that as soon as possible. The other thing is, I'm going to get back to the zoning board again. I'll speak to the chair, to the mayor. We did, as you said, brought it up at the zoning board meeting. We took it as far as we could go. We have no funds available. We have no power to remove a member. And we had a situation the other night where a resident came up. He did some building without a permit, got caught, finished the stuff, came before the board, and the chairman was reprimanding him for doing it. This is what we don't want. We do not want people in town doing this. And I said, whoa, 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 stop right there. We got a sitting board member up here that pleaded guilty in court, and he's still sitting up there. And the town for 9 months has done nothing about it. Okay? I see the writing on the wall. His term expires in December. He doesn't have to attend another meeting. Okay? He doesn't have to attend one, and he can just finish out his term. Whether he's reappointed or not is up to the council. But you want to talk about nepotism and stuff like that. A sitting councilwoman, it's very, doesn't look right for a family member to sit up on the board because she has influence over other board members, just like they did on the nepotism. Okay. No, it doesn't, but it doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. I mean, the mayor of Tenafly made that comment. And he said if he appointed his son, it just would.
Hello, my name is Pidaimi Lewis. I also reside on Garden Street. And I'm not here for anything other than to just support what my husband said. Dave, I don't know how you're even sitting as a council. You were not voted in to be a board member, and you ended up being the Board of Education, even after you weren't voted in, but whatever. Then you left them to come sit here. It's always been about Dave. Whatever your personal interest is, that's what you're gonna go for. When you were in the Board of Education, you were not there for the children, you were there for you. You were there for you when the moment that my son or your school needed you to protect them, you weren't there. Now you're sitting on a council board. You weren't voted in, however that happened. I just think it's kind of funny how all of this political stuff is happening, and it's just being left to sit, and then trying to bash one party because you want to look good. I mean, I think if the story's going to be told badly on one, it should be told badly on everyone. So I think something is just not right with this board, with the town, when they're overlooking so many things. Again, you were not chosen or voted for to the Board of Ed, and you ended up being there. You abandoned them, and you're sitting as a councilman here. I didn't remember voting to have anyone replace Joe, but it happened, so it is what it is. However, you will not have this untold. I just feel that it's unfair and it's not right. You cannot protect the town if you were not able to protect the board for our children. My son. It took 2 weeks, and it took for us to go to the media for something to be resolved and done about my son. Because for you at the time, the superintendent that was there was what was getting you whatever it was that you needed to get to at that moment. And you sat there doing the same thing, just quietly looking at us and, you know, just taking it all in. Not once did I get an apology from you at all, even after we showed proof of how poorly everything was taking place at the time. This is not about my son right now, and thankfully he is in a better place, but it's no thanks to you. And because of that alone, I want everyone to know that can hear me, that if you couldn't protect our children, you will protect them even less as a councilman, because you are now trying to protect the town. You don't go by your words, sir. And that is very sad to see everyone here just sitting there listening and taking in whatever lies or whatever cover or whatever, because I just find it's just, I don't understand it. And like I said before, if I don't understand something, it's a problem to me. And if it's a problem to me, I'm going to let everyone know. And I think it's a problem when you're sitting on two boards that you were never even voted to be on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Sylvia Zattarelli, 232 Lanza Avenue. I just started. Okay. October should not be Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It should be Ugly Month, because November follows and we have elections. And this is what happens. We get downright nasty, you get vicious, you get dirty. Now, I'm running for the Board of Ed in November. I have been told by numerous people, good, very good sources, I'm being targeted by this council because of certain political signs I have on my lawn. I have helped every single one of you at some point of your elections. Even you, Mr. Simaluka, in the beginning. You all run on honesty and integrity. I really hope that at least 4 out of 5 of you are going to be honest, because I do believe I'm being targeted. Bob, you've threatened me. You can say no all you want. 4 out of 5 people on this council know what I'm talking about. When it comes out, I really hope you are going to be honest enough to say, yes, the man did threaten me. And that's all I want to say, because I am running, I take it serious, and I don't want interference. I don't run interference. I can support who I want. It's my right. I shouldn't have a backlash for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? No? Seeing none, motion to close? Oh, I'm sorry.
Council President, Mayor, Council members. My name's Ted Lestrange, 6 Jeffrey Court, Otisville, and that's in New York. I'm sorry I don't have good news, and I've entitled this Genocide by Scalpel, because that's a title given by one of the investigators into forced organ harvesting in China. Their updated research concludes that China's hospitals transplant between 60,000 and 100,000 vital human body organs each year. But China has no organ donation program. Here in the US, with the most sophisticated organ transplant system in the world, a patient can wait up to 3 years for a matching organ to become available. In China, however, the waiting time is measured in weeks. An organ transplant tourist to China, including one from the US, can arrange a specific date for their operation, which effectively means that someone will be killed on their behalf on that date. It's a cultural taboo in China to donate one's organs after death. So what's the source of all these organs? The translation of these facts equates to tens of thousands of prisoners of conscience each year being killed for their organs. Most of these prisoners of conscience are Falun Gong practitioners, but also Tibetans, Uyghurs, and house Christians. They are routinely blood tested and their organs examined while held in China's forced labor camps, detention centers, and black jails. A 1984 regulation, ironically, decrees that they and their organs become the property of the state. On June 13th last year, the U.S. House of Representatives unanimously passed Resolution 343, which in a summary, quote, condemns the practice of state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting in China. The European Parliament has also passed similar regulations. This has been happening for over 17 years, but there is still a deathly silence on this issue. And that is why I stand before you, the elected and respected representatives of the community, to echo the heavy burden of this genocide, as acknowledged by the House. China has total control of its own media and way beyond, so it comes down to this type of word of mouth to divulge what's happening. Many dedicated researchers have gathered an enormous amount of data from current and archived hospital websites, medical journals, local media reports, telephone surveys, and other evidence for the 865 hospitals in China that have performed these organ transplants. Some books are now being written and documentaries being produced with more information. So I've got this package for your members. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sure. Thank you. I'll make sure we all got one. Not your bell.
Not my bell. Hi, my name is Jimmy Mazer.
Come closer to the microphone.
I live at 264 Midland Avenue in Saddlebrook. My comment is about the zoning board. You had a person get up over here and saying about how one of the members was this and that. It's still not finished, okay? It's still in court, okay? But what amazes me was he was ordered by this council to take a course or take some type of course.
Ethics.
Yeah, ethics course, or else he couldn't sit. Well, guess what? He never took it. But is he still sitting there? And is he still opening his mouth like, so what are we listening to? You listening to this guy all the time? He's a joke. I'd like to leave it like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ida Marie Camilleri, 289 Albany Street, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. To make a mockery of the civil service test, where we are a civil service jurisdiction, is an outright shame. To compare taking a test through the chair, Councilperson Garrick, to claim or make the assumption that taking a test is the same thing as filling out an application to, let me see, be employed by, what did you say? The DPW. Two different entities. And sitting there, you should know this. You're all about the kids. And I just heard that you're really not all about the kids. And that's very frightening for me, still having a son in the school district and knowing that you sat there and did absolutely nothing but hide behind someone is an out and out, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I can't see how you could sit there with that smirk look on your face, knowing that you did that.
Ida, with all due respect, you're screaming.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to make sure that people can hear because the volume is very low on TV. Yeah, and an Italian Sicilian with Irish blood too. You get my goat. As I said in the beginning, we are a civil service township. And you know all about civil service, Mayor Bob. And to make a mockery of what my son earned, is disgusting. And I, as a lifelong resident of Saddlebrook, New Jersey, for 53 years, can't trust you. And I'm afraid for you because it's very scary that you're representing me because you don't have a child's back. How are you going to have my back? Council President, he applied? No. He took a test. I don't know how you could say that he applied for a position. He didn't apply for the position. I'm looking at the record, and it's a copy in today's shopper. You stated that although he is legally able to run, permitted to run, oh, wait a minute, that's the wrong one. Oh, when Camilleri's son applied for a job with the police, Camilleri did the right thing. He didn't apply. He took a test. And you, of all people, should know he took a test. And getting back, I don't want my time taken up. Spirit of the ordinance. If the mayor and councilperson Garrick, if you're going to be using the same term, make sure you put a spin on it.
Thank you.
Spirit.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, motion to close. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Mayor, do we want to go with comments?
Sure. I'm going to talk a little bit about some projects that are going on in town currently. The generator here at the town hall, the underground work, and the generator foundation is complete. We're waiting on the installation of the generator itself. Veterans Field, bathrooms and concession stand is moving nicely and should be done by the end of the year. Our senior housing, John Bialy of the Bergen County Housing and Development was at our work session here on Tuesday. We're completing the demolition, or they are, I should say. The building is going to be prefab. They're going to start constructing the foundation and the prefab sections of the building, which will be delivered and tied in February of 2018, according to Mr. Bialy on Tuesday. The building should be complete before the end of 2018. We do have architectural plans that were dropped off. Mr. Township had asked to see them. They are here at Town Hall, if you want to come and look at them, even after the meeting, if you want to look at them. We opened bids, the engineer did today for paving on 5th Street, and we should be awarding a contract soon on that for the paving of 5th Street. Business Administrator Unico attended a community development meeting on Wednesday, September 20th. I don't know, Pete, you want to elaborate a little bit on that, and you want me to just go on?
Just quickly, Mayor, as we know, the federal government's in the process of budgeting for the year. Community development is one of the block grant programs that may be eliminated. The hope is that some funding will continue. It's helped Saddlebrook and its residents over the years with many projects, and hopefully it'll continue.
Thank you, Pete. Yes, I wanted to just elaborate on that as well. The town has benefited from the community development funds. In 2015-16, we got $84,642. In 16-17, $125,544, and this year we're slated to get $183,000. The committee accepted that amount, but now it has to be approved by the freeholders. And we've used over the years this community development funds for various handicap accessible ramps, doors, Veterans Field, drainage upgrades on Liberty Street. As Councilman Garrick mentioned, next week is Fire Prevention Week. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our fire department members and our EMS members of the ambulance corps for all you do to the township. And you did a great job the other night, which was this past Tuesday, during that electrical service disruption that we had. It was a major incident there on North 5th Street. And you were out, the fire department and ambulance were out from about 5 o'clock till after 11 p.m., keeping the residents safe, and we do appreciate all your efforts. Leaf bags, the town, we've been getting a lot of questions about the leaf bags. We will begin distributing them on Tuesday, October 10th at Town Hall during regular business hours. It's a limited 10 bags per household. On Monday, October 16th, the town hall will be open until 9 for the last day, which is the last day of voter registration. So Pete will be here until 9, and we will be giving out the bags during that time. So that's Monday, October 16th. Or Tuesday, I'm sorry, Tuesday, October 16th. Thank you, Pete. I want to thank all the volunteers who are helping distribute flyers tomorrow for Knockout Opiate Abuse Day. And also, I want to remind residents that we do have a receptacle at the Saddlebrook Police Department in the lobby for getting rid of unused and unwanted prescription drugs. And it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I want to thank McDonald's for helping out the Mayor's Youth Group with a successful fundraiser this past Tuesday, October 3rd. The Mayor's Youth Group will be using the funds to purchase a plaque for the town, that the town will be purchasing a park bench, which will be put at Kern Street Park. The town's going to buy it. Councilwoman Mazer had brought it up. We were going to, the Mayor's Youth Group was going to try to purchase one on our own and do fundraising, but Councilwoman brought it up last month that the town would pay for it. So it was a good idea that was brought up by Thomas Van Winkle, the Mayor's Youth Group. So we're going to at least have the money to purchase a plaque that will go on there with the Mayor's Youth Group name. Thank you. Thank you, Flo. Events, the Unico Street Fair. It was a very nice event, very well attended. I want to thank Unico for planning and organizing. Photos and video of the event are on the town Facebook and the website, and the video is also on our town cable TV, which was it was a fantastic event. Every year it gets better and better. I also want to say that it's Italian Heritage and Cultural Month, also National Hispanic Heritage Month as well. We got some upcoming events, Halloween decorating contest. The registration ends October 23rd. Judging takes place on October 26th. Senior Halloween party is Tuesday, October 24th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the VFW. It's a free event for our seniors. Senior bus service is available to pick the seniors up and bring you back home. Got Trunk or Treat Saturday, October 28th at the Saddlebrook High School Middle School from 12 noon to 2 p.m. It's free for all residents. Anyone interested in participating or sponsoring a trunk, please contact my secretary, Christine Januario, at 201-587-2903. Also was mentioned breast cancer awareness. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I urge all women out there everywhere to please remember to get your annual checkups, make appointments with your doctors. It's extremely important as early detection saves lives. I just want to wish everybody a happy Columbus Day, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Alcamondo?
Sure. First, I just want to clear the air something that Mr. Ratajczyk says. Because I was raised right and do have integrity, I did vote for the nepotism ordinance, even though I was against it, because it was majority. But I could promise you that will never happen again, because my vote from now on will be from here, not from here. So I just wanted to clear the air on that. Also, I'm a member of Bergen County Sheriff's Department, one of the most elite departments in this county. Watching the firemen the other night at that power outage, that command staff was very impressive. The presence that Chief had and the other firemen was just, thank you. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about that, but you guys did a great job. You were on top of everything. Chief, you were there as well. You handled it very well. I would also like to thank the OEM from Rochelle Park. His cert, he called his cert, and before I got from the command staff at the scene to the senior center, there was a trailer with 5 women ready to house whoever needed to be housed. And I just thank you very much, and it was very impressive. And I would, Chief, I would love to see our CERT members put back into service, because I think the town would benefit from it. And I'm glad you're here, because I wanted to ask you that, but I think that we need to be more involved with our department, help them out on some of the little things like fireworks, some of the picnics, because these guys left an 8-10 hour job the other night and fought this situation for 5, 6, 7 hours. Some of them were lethargic, some of them were exhausted, but they did what they love to do, and that was to protect the residents of Saddlebrook. So from me, to my family, to the fire department of Saddlebrook, every fireman, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Garrett?
I'd like to thank the fire department and our EMTs, obviously in light of Fire Prevention Week next week. Also, the Unico Street Fair was a great event. The weather was great. Another great event in town. We did have a flood meeting 2 weeks ago at the Senior Center. Tom Richards was there from Bergen County Shared Services. He's the coordinator. We had representation from the Rochelle Park Council. We had representation from Garfield, Mayor White, Council President Karen D'Arminio was there, myself, Pete, Fire Chief Dickman was there. They flew a drone over the Saddle River. They identified different areas that needed to be addressed. There's debris, there's overgrowth. The county wants to lead the cleanup and utilize the inmates to clean up a lot of that area that's overgrown and there's a lot of debris. Some other areas of discussion were to clean out the catch basins throughout the town, especially along the Saddle River. Assistance from the Passaic Valley Sewage Restoration, and also to get a DEP, get the DEP involved. Our next meeting is for the end of October, and we're hoping to get a representative from the DEP there. In regards to some of the statements that were made about me, I stand behind my record with the Board of Education and Dr. Richard Katz. We handled it according to policy. We discussed a lot of things in closed session that I can't divulge. A lot of things were discussed. The schools in Saddlebrook are safer than they've ever been. We passed a referendum. We have cameras. We have excellent security. I stand behind every vote I made on the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Garrett.
Wait, I'm sorry, through the chair. You mentioned you had representation for the cleanup. You
Your
had no
microphone, Todd.
You had no representation from the sheriff's department.
Not yet. No, I'm going to go on.
I understand that, but you just said that the inmates are going to clean. There was no if you have representation from, just hear me out. If you have representation from the county, from Rochelle Park, from Saddlebrook to clean a river, and you're gonna utilize inmate labor, don't you think it's just common sense to invite the sheriff's department so you could go over a plan of attack? Because I
Through the
scheduled
chair.
that, and it's not
Through
scheduled.
the chair. The meeting, we were the host town.
Okay.
The meeting was actually called by Tom Richards, who's the coordinator of shared service for Bergen County. Now, Karen, I believe you spoke to him recently. He says that the inmates have already done some work. Now, I know you're in charge of that, so I'm not going to dispute
We
it.
did it for Saddlebrook, we did it for Wallington. And like I said the other, at the work session, I checked the schedule today. I don't know what they're telling you, but it is not scheduled from nothing with the county from now until the end of the year calendar. So I don't know what's being fed to you guys or what's being said.
Can I say
Sure.
something? We got in contact with Tom Richards today because after you said that, I was concerned because he said he was going to schedule it for the next few weeks. He has not. He has not set the date for the sheriff's
And I'm not
department.
attacking anybody, I'm just,
No,
I don't
no,
want
no, I
nobody
just
to,
wanna
because
bring you up
this
to
has been
date.
going on for 3 years, I've been dealing with them, and
Mhm.
every time I schedule it, they cancel. But it's not a personal attack on anyone, it's just, if you're gonna say it, make sure it's in the works, because like I said, it's not scheduled. It's been said for years, and I hate to bring something up that, you know, it's gonna help the flooding. I'm not an engineer, but I don't think cleaning a riverbank is gonna help flooding situation. I think we need to be a little more involved with, other than just having them pick up litter. And I understand that this is the way to go, to try and clean the sides of the riverbanks, because it did help behind Fifth Street. It helped a lot. But it's just a matter of,
Through the chair, at the meeting, you bring up an interesting point, because representative from Rochelle Park was there, and he was complaining to the county that he's been trying to get those islands that are in the river over there by Railroad Avenue. And it's difficult because they have released or limited, in some cases, or I'm using the wrong terminology, they've allowed towns to go in and do things to the river that they couldn't do in the past. Assemblyman Eustace has passed some legislation. So it's not as restricted, so that you can go into the bed and maybe of the river. There's things that can be done, and you know, you're right, in the sense that, you know, it will help a little bit, the desnagging, certainly, and getting the overgrowth out of the river, but really, to really get it done right, we need to dredge, or do some form of dredging. So, and that was his point.
and there's just so much, that, the river keeper, I don't know if you dealt with it,
Yeah.
he's very tough to deal with. Our detective bureau is along the Hackensack River. We cannot clean the litter out of it because he does not want us near, because it's apparently interfering with the wildlife. I know there's a lot of red tape. I mean, listen, I'll work with anybody to try and get those guys out there every day, 7 days a week. But it's just, I just don't want to see the false hope. That is, it seems like, and it's not based on anybody's election. It always seems this comes up at election time. Whether it's for regular election, special election, it seems that certain, and again, it's nobody here. It's just that certain politicians say things to get a certain vote, and it never happens. Like with towns with flooding, like in Lodi. They'll sell you a boat as your house is sinking. You know, it's just, I just don't want to give people false hope. It's going to happen. It's not scheduled. Hopefully they'll schedule it soon. That's it. And it's, like I said, nothing against any one individual.
No, and I did question that after we talked at the work session the other night, and he hasn't yet set the schedule. What he has done to date is the mosquito commission cleaned the mouth of the river in Wallington and is working down Garfield and Lodi, along with the Parks Department. So he didn't schedule it, so I knew that it was in the works, so I might have jumped the gun.
Okay.
But I did check out, and it hasn't happened, but it's supposed to. So I thank you for sharing that with us. The problem with the flooding is there's no money. And that's what everybody talked about at the meeting. There is no money coming in to really fix the problem. I don't know, did you find out about Sarlo? He had the $250,000 to clean the Passaic River. I don't know if did you hear if that went through?
I haven't checked into it, no.
Yeah,
But
I mean.
It was
that-
mentioned.
That's one of the problems, there's just no money. So, but we're doing the best we can, and also, Mayor, you're going along to all the towns along the river to try to get the mayors. When we have the meetings, Fairlawn didn't show up because they couldn't make it. Everybody doesn't come, so it's difficult to get everybody together. And that's what we're attempting to do. The other thing is, I would like to thank the fire department for what they do every day. I don't want to repeat everything that everybody else has said. As the mayor said, the plans are here on the senior housing, and I did get some information on the qualifications. So we do have that available, and I think in the very near future, we should set up a meeting, Mayor, with the seniors so that they could come in and see what the qualifications are that they need to have in order to get in. The current income levels to get into the housing for a single is $33,800. A couple is $38,600. Now, I do have the email here. I will be posting it on the website and also at the senior center, and we will have a meeting coming down the road. And I think that's it. Bob?
Yes, I'm going to have to reiterate about the fire department because it did affect me personally. I'd like a shout out to our fire department and also our police department for doing the phone call to everyone, telling us what we needed to do to keep everybody safe. Yeah, it was a situation that actually could have been a lot worse, but a shout out to you guys, and you did an awesome job, and everybody made sure that everybody returned to their businesses safe and sound. So I do appreciate that. Also, I'd like to also shout out to the Unico again. I was proud to be a diamond sponsor this year. Like I said, their work is amazing, and they do so much for so many, and I'm so very proud to be part of it. And last but not least, a shout out to Joanne, who my prayers and positive vibes are with her. Hope for a speedy recovery. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Simaluka?
Okay, some random thoughts in no particular order. I had somebody over my house today, and Pete, you didn't remind me to tell you, but I'm going to, through the mayor, through the administrator, his complaint was that although there's a left turn arrow on 46 at the intersection of 5th, that there are no turn signals or any kind of delayed signal, as far as I know, if you're going on 5th Street, crossing 46 to make left turns. And what happens oftentimes is that someone who's traveling toward the funeral home, let's put it that way, tries to make a left turn to go east on 46, and somebody coming away from the funeral home is making a left to go west, and they're stuck there because no one knows what to do. And he asked if we could do something about it. I said it's a state highway, but certainly we can pass it on. I know that that intersection has been a bone of contention for a long, long time. So if we can just maybe ask the DOT to take a look at that, potentially just give them 7 or 8 seconds, so this way a couple of cars can move without the other side coming into their direction. Speaking of intersections, and to just show you how slow things go with government, I remember attending a meeting of people throughout the county on how we can fix certain problems, and one of the problems was the intersection of where Market intersects with Main. In Lodi, it's Main, Rochelle Park, Rochelle Avenue, beyond it's Essex Street. And my suggestion was you're not going to fix anything there, even if you include left turn signals, without making an extra lane. You need the left turn lanes like they have coming westbound on Essex Street to turn onto Main without doing that. Now, that was a study. They were proposing all kinds of things. Do you know, Pete, if that just died a slow, unpleasant death, or is that?
Actually, maybe 4 months ago, the county sent an email saying they're still studying it, and we'll hear something in the near future.
They must be the smartest people in the world because they're studying a long time. Okay. Well, at least they're studying it. It's better than saying that they gave up on it. Tom Hayes came over here. I've been to a couple of Drums from Heaven events, and I was too young to go to Woodstock. But if you go to a Drums from Heaven event, it's like Woodstock. It is a lot of fun, and they're really, really good people, and they do a lot of good work. And it's for an awesome cause, because Joanne is an awesome person. Kathy Marrow came up with the chief, and I don't know which one said it, either the chief or Kathy, that New Jersey is now involved in the lawsuit. I think we're the 10th state. Saddlebrook did this over a month ago, where we signed on to be the plaintiff in a litigation against the big pharmaceutical companies, and Kathy's the one, not just coming from people in politics or people that have been voted here, but this is from a layperson, someone who's been personally affected by this crisis, to say that Big Pharma has a responsibility, and it's going to hit him where it hurts, which is in the pocketbook. So I'm proud that the council did something, and we were somewhat ahead of the curve on that. Everyone's praising Unico, and I've been proud to be a member of Unico for 20 years. They brought up Bill de Blasio, and I know he's a politician in a much different realm than we are here, but as someone of Italian heritage, he is a joke and an embarrassment who is just falling just in line with special interest, and he doesn't have a backbone to stand up and support his own heritage. He's just an embarrassment to anyone who has any kind of Italian blood in their system. But I don't know if it was a sign of disrespect or praise, but somebody came up to me and said, you know, I went to that Unico Street Fair, and gee, it was, I didn't expect it to be so nice. So I don't know how to take it, but it was a great event. It always is. And I don't know if I'm going to knock on wood. I think it's the fourth year, and the fourth year of very, very good weather. So that can really make or break an event, and we've been blessed. Hopefully, next year around this time, election time again, we will be able to see three things that we can't see now in terms of buildings. And one of them, hopefully, will be, or two of the three are public buildings. One of them will be the senior housing, and hopefully it will move faster than the phase to get it to this point. It can't move any slower, I'll be honest with you. But hopefully by next year, we'll have some seniors in there, and it'll be something that Saddlebrook could be proud of. The second is the Veterans Field, the snack stand, and the restrooms, which again has taken forever, but hopefully next year at this time we'll be able to be proud of what's been accomplished. And the third one has nothing to do with the town in terms of whether it's a public building, but across the street, as we all know, there was all kinds of posts on Facebook, everyone crying that Ed's was torn down, and we'll have hopefully a nice new, nice-looking retail market. For anyone who's asked, it's supposed to mirror the look of the retail shop where Jersey Mike's is up on Essex Street over there. It's the same, my understanding, it's the same builders, and I think they're going to follow the same architectural plan, and that is a nice place. And just so some people also on Facebook said, how can the town let that happen? Well, you know, Mr. Wilczynski, who's 80-something years old and a good friend, it's his property, and if somebody wanted to continue to run a bar and grill, I'm sure if they offered him the same money that these people offered him, he would have gladly sold it to them. So for all the people crying in their beer, so to speak, that Ed's is gone, and that the town is somewhat responsible for the failure to have a local watering hole anymore, go to Midland Brew House. That's what I tell you. Road paving, we are taking on a number of road paving projects, and again, by next year, hopefully this town will be proud of what we've accomplished. County, in our resolution, one of our resolutions is a shared services agreement with the county, that their OEM, Office of Emergency Management, has entered into a shared services where we can utilize their emergency vehicles when necessary. I think it's probably always been sort of in place, but this legitimizes it and puts it in writing, and because every town cannot have every single piece of equipment. The county has a lot of it, they have a lot more than we do, so it's good to know that we can count on the county to come in if we need some machinery or vehicles that we don't have. And lastly, thank you. Our Access for All Committee, we were unable to meet this month. However, we did last month pass that stigma-free resolution, and we were able to get some documents, flyers and brochures and some pieces of literature to hand out at the street fair, and hopefully the Access, I'll be able to report something a little more significant next month, because we are meeting and trying to improve Saddlebrook for those who are having a difficult time physically, mentally, sight challenged, hearing challenged, to try and help them out. Thank you. Have a great month.
Thank you, Councilman Simaluka. Ordinances?
Ordinance one on the agenda for final reading is the ordinance 1630-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 5 entitled Administration of Government for a second reading.
Motion?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Derrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes.
An ordinance amending Chapter 5 entitled Administration of Government for a public hearing.
Motion to open to the public?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yep.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes. The meeting is open to the public on this ordinance only. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up. Seeing none, motion to close?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township. Sure.
So I just want to make it clear then that, and this is obviously televised too, that this makes it that there has to be the ethics training, and the members have to be at the ethics training or they can be removed. And it's been told to me that Steve Polino, who is going to cover the board, Steve Polino, who's the board attorney for the planning board, will also do the training for the zoning board, and from what I understand, it's going to be in the November meeting, so notice will be given, and I urge all the members of the boards to go to the training, or else there could be, consequences as a result of not going to that as a result of, the law.
Where were we?
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 5 entitled Administration of Government does now pass on second and final reading, and that the Township Clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of said ordinance according to law.
Motion? Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2 is a bond ordinance, 1631-17. A bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $310,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds for a second reading.
Motion?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes.
A bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $310,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to make finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. The public hearing.
Motion is open to the public?
Motion open to the
I'll
public.
second.
Is this the one that,
Roll call?
I don't want to talk. The 2.4 million emergency appropriation.
Well, we're in the middle of the roll call. Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes. This is the
part of-
$310,000 one.
Tuesday, you discussed 2.4 million for tax appeals. When is that going to be set? The second reading will be next month?
Yes.
And why do we have that?
Really, this is on this ordinance right now, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. We'll have to discuss that after. Okay, where am I? Motion. Oh, we're open to the public, I'm confused. On this ordinance only. Anyone? Motion to close.
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Saluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the ordinance entitled, "A Bond Ordinance to Authorize the Making of Various Public Improvements and the Acquisition of New Automotive Vehicles, Including Original Apparatus and Equipment in by for the Township of Saddlebrook and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $310,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. This is now passed on second and final reading, and that the Township Clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of the ordinance according to law.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Saluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio?
Yes.
Ordinance is passed.
Ordinances are passed.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or members so requests it, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence reports, and approval of minutes and applications, and added to the resolutions will be the two that were presented tonight to receive and file.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Saluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio?
Yes. Okay, we did the best practice.
We have to do that.
I'm sorry, what? Under new business, yeah. In new business, the best practice report for 2017, Mr. Lodico?
Thank you, Council President. The state requires each municipality within the state of New Jersey to do a best practices checklist. Our CFO and I have completed the checklist to send to the state. It does require that we mention at the public portion of the meeting. Out of a score of a maximum of 100, the township scored 88, which ensures our state aid continuance for this year. No.
I just have a question.
Sure.
In regard to the 88, since we know where we were minimally deficient, are we taking steps to get inch closer to 100?
We always strive for 100.
Is there anything in there, the 12 that we didn't get that
4.
seems...
Each question is
it's
worth 4
wait.
points. Yeah. So, yes, we always strive, and hopefully next year we'll be...
92?
They change the questions every year. So whatever we comply with this year, there'll be new questions for next year. But we always strive for perfection.
Keep striving.
Motion to open to the public for agenda items only.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Saluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrett?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio?
Yes. Meeting is open to the public on agenda items only.
Hi, Nancy Murray, Pine Avenue. Of the 3 Ford vehicles that are being purchased in the resolution, what models are they? Are they the same model, or what models are the vehicles?
The police vehicles?
Yes.
I can get that for you. Interceptors.
Give it's utility, I'm assuming it's an Explorer.
Well, the Explorers, Fusions, that's what I'm looking for. What model?
Fusions, but it's a Explorer?
It's an Interceptor utility all-wheel drive based vehicle, 2017. The police package,
then those are explorers. I'm just curious. Thank you. And one other thing. The ethics training is a good thing. I don't have a problem with it because I do it for work every single year. We have to do it also for business. It's something when you deal with vendors that you have to do. The only problem is it's self-policing. So even at work in my office, if someone is not aware that they have an ethical challenge, they could still have an ethical violation, and according to them, they don't. So just be cautious. I mean, it's a good thing, and it very well is something that we should be doing, and make sure everybody's aware of it. I'm sure that you all have to take it, and other members of the town have to take it also. Just be aware that it's a self-policing type of program, and we have it at work too, and it's same thing. It's self-policing. So you have to bring awareness that it's important for you to understand what is unethical and what you should at least question. Thanks.
Thank you.
Larry, retired check 92 Claremont. On number 15, it says emergency sewer repair, J. Fletcher Kramer. Where is that location?
So it's on Market Street.
Okay, but I believe Tuesday night when you read bids, National Water Main, I think.
There were a couple of them.
Submitted one for 7,000.
There's two.
Fletcher Kramer, the original bid was 14,000. And why did we award a $12,000 bid when we had a 7,000 sitting in front of us?
It's two projects, two separate projects.
I know, but this the one by Matsui?
Yes, right? Yes.
This is,
This was the
yes.
emergency one, it just
Yes.
happened, right?
Yes, Tuesday.
I mean, the one bid was 14,000, the other
No,
bid,
There was only one bid on that project. There's two different ones.
what was the one for 7,000?
That was on three.
That was
that's-
Hayes Drive.
Yeah,
Oh, what was
Hayes Drive.
I don't think so.
We've had a couple of sewer.
Colonial was 7,000.
No, I know,
6,000
but
for
that one, when we were discussing that one, that was an emergency one, it just happened that day.
And that was not to exceed 12,000.
And I believe we had two bids, 14,000 and 7,000.
No.
Well,
We did
check the minutes and you'll see.
We didn't-
I believe you did.
We did.
I'm
We have
going to
a letter
ask you to check the minutes. And like
We
I
have
say,
a
it's
letter
double
from-
the, because I said it in the audience here, I said that it's double, why is Fletcher Kramer double of what National Water Main is? It was the same project. The other thing, like Nancy talked about ethics training, to Mr. Mazer, the reason that I did not attend the ethics class that I was told to attend, because my attorney advised me that that would be an admission of
This
guilt.
is not the agenda.
You should have told
This is
Nancy,
not the
should have
agenda.
told Nancy the same thing, Karen. I told you,
Talking about
the rules,
ordinance,
right,
the ordinance.
that's what I'm talking about. And Nancy was allowed to go on and talk about ethics training and everything else. So what you let one person talk about, you let another person talk about. And she talked about ethics. I don't see anything on the agenda here about ethics. So if you let one resident talk, you let the other resident talk. It's not separate rules.
You're going to go to this one, the one in November?
If I'm at the meeting, like I say, if we all take it, I shouldn't have been singled out, though.
But this is for everyone now.
This is for, right, like I said, I guess the town realized that they did it wrong. And they only ordered it from me, and like I told you, it'd be an admission of guilt if I would have took the class. I'm not pleading guilty to anything. Okay? And I did not plead guilty to anything, like the other person did.
Motion to close the meeting to the public?
Motion.
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 Can I have a second? Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
And Council President Dormini?
Yes. Anyone have any comments before we motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?